Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello and welcome to Primetime Local News. I'm Callan Dunlop. Thanks for joining us. A Lloydminster student is using his talents as he travels across the country. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we see how Lloyd Comp is setting up their students to tackle trades competitions. The act of wiring electrical systems up is complex and is exactly why trades competitions across Canada have been blowing up. Lloyd Comp has worked hard to create a learning environment that reflects what the students would see at these skill competitions.
To the right of me, I've set up 14 individual working spots, which simulate what they'd have to work at for the provincial skills competition. And in these little cubicles, they set up a little panel and they run 8 different circuits. And then at the end of the semester, we plug it in and turn the lights on.
Jaden Wood recently returned from nationals hosted in Quebec just after winning gold in Edmonton for provincials.
I had to do an electrical circuit where I had to put up a panel box, and then I had to wire in a relay, and then a doorbell circuit, and then a whole bunch of receptacle and lights. Just wiring all the boxes and everything, and Mr. McCarthy's been good at helping me work for the skills lab because he has the actual skills lab from previous years, so it's good in that way. Regardless of his placement at nationals, McCarthy is proud to see one of his students using everything taught to him up to this point.
He learns stuff really easily. And so the concepts that we use here in the class, for example, just like being accurate with measurements, making sure that things are followed to what the plan is. Jaden does a great job of doing that.
And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students go beyond the classroom for immersive, hands-on learning experiences. It's about experiencing the real world.
May was a big month for Lakeland College heavy equipment technician apprentice James Wilson. The Bonnyville native won gold at Skills Alberta at the beginning of May and finished off the month winning gold at Skills Canada. Our Leanne Sanders caught up with James to find out more.
James Wilson is a third-year heavy equipment technician apprentice at Lakeland College. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. You've had a really big month now. You've won 2 gold medals in competitions, skills competitions, both at the Alberta and the Canada level. What did it take to win those?
It took a lot of support from everyone else and a lot of trying my absolute best. And there's no other way to put it than mostly just the support from everybody else really gave me the drive and the desire to keep going, because a lot of the times it was getting kind of tough. You're getting a little discouraged, but my instructors talking to me, friends talking to me, they're like, no, man, keep going. You're doing your best.
So what exactly do you have to do at these competitions to prove your skills?
So basically, for heavy duty, the trade I'm in, they would purposely make something not work on a piece of equipment, and we would have to go in there and figure it out and follow procedures and troubleshooting charts and be able to prove ourselves and show that we are capable of following computer schematics, following procedures, reading sentences, all kinds of stuff, using your proper tooling to the proper manner, following proper procedures is the biggest thing.
What would you tell somebody that's considering a career in the trades?
It's an awesome career in the trades. You make pretty decent money, and there's always lots of work, especially these days. And it's becoming more and more prominent tradespeople, since there's not a whole lot of us left, to be honest.
You're already employed with MPI Oilfield. Where do you see your career going from here?
I would really like to get on with Cat or Cummins or something like that. But for now, with MPI, I'm very happy with where I'm at. They treat me very well. And the diversity of work here is insane. I work on trucks, equipment, little cars, anything, you name it, I've touched it.
All right, so you're in your third year. Do you have another year in your program?
Yes, I do. I actually finished up my third year at Lakeland in April. So now I'm technically a fourth year. So I have 1 year left, and then I'll have my full journeyman, and that'll be the end of that.
Wow, and the world is your oyster beyond that.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely here in the Lakeland area, there's so much opportunity as far as what you are doing.
That is very true. There's all kinds of equipment and there's so much going on and there's lots of work to keep me busy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, congratulations, James. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today, and enjoy your last year.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And again, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
And we'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
For the month of June, spousal support will be the focus of our weekly feature on divorce and separation. Our Stacey Comer has more.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Again, Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hankett Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Time now for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Family After Divorce. Stephanie, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks again as always, Stacey.
Well, we're going to start a theme for the month of June, and the theme for this month is going to be talking about spousal support, which probably could take more than the episodes that we're going to do, but we'll try and encompass it all into one. So, first of all, let's
Very
start
true.
with the basics, Stephanie. And what is spousal support?
So basically, spousal support is money that's payable from one spouse to another when there's a breakdown of a relationship or the breakdown of a marriage. So the Federal Divorce Act, as well as the provincial legislation, contains provisions that set out the objectives and the factors to consider when determining whether spousal support is appropriate. So we have a two-step process in determining whether this amount is payable to a spouse. So the first thing that we look at is something called entitlement. And until and unless the word entitlement is determined that a person is actually entitled to spousal support, then we don't even go to the second question. So first, we look at entitlement. Second, and only if entitlement is found, then we look at how much is payable, how much spousal support is payable, and how long that will be payable for.
Okay, and now I guess if we're going to take that one step further, how does somebody know if they are in fact entitled to spousal support?
Well, the word entitlement is a legal term in this context that helps us to determine eligibility for spousal support. So I like the word eligibility better than entitlement. It causes less fire to come out of people's words, fire to come out of people's ears. So the word entitlement is what we need to figure out here. So how is entitlement determined? So someone needs to figure out whether they fit into one of three headings in order to qualify for spousal support. So let's go through them now. So the first heading is contractual support. So in this case, someone would be entitled to support if there's a contractual obligation. So for example, if there's an interspousal agreement or a prenuptial agreement or a cohabitation agreement between the parties that contractually obligate someone to pay spousal support. Second is what's called compensatory support. So think about this one as looking backward into the relationship. So this is to compensate one spouse for decisions that were made during a relationship that affected someone's income earning potential. So for example, if someone takes time off for children, or if someone geographically relocates with a spouse to help one person advance their career. So the third is called non-compensatory support. So this is what I consider sort of looking forward spousal support. So it's based on needs going forward and ability or to be or to become self-sufficient after the relationship ends. So think about things like budgets, economic interdependence between the spouses, or even changes to one's standard of living as a result of the breakdown of the relationship.
Okay, and if spousal support is going to be payable, how much does a person have to pay? How do you figure that out?
Well, remember reminder to our viewers that this is only in the event that entitlement or eligibility for spousal support is found. Then we go on to look at how much is payable. So this is where there's a guidelines out there similar to the child support guidelines, but they're called spousal support guidelines. And these are spousal support advisory guidelines. So this is a formulaic way to figure out how much spousal support is payable. So these came into effect in 2005, or they were brought in 2005, and they've grown in significance in the legal landscape since then. So these are not actually put into law, but they're put into what's called the common law. So there's two different formulas under the spousal support advisory guidelines. One is when there is child support being paid, and one is when there's no child support being paid. So in order to figure out the amount payable, we input both spouses' income levels as well as any child support payable, and then outspits a range. So there's always room for negotiation between the low end of the range and the high end of the range, and it's not exact, and it's not an exact science in the least.
And how long is it payable for, Stephanie?
So the spousal supported advisory guidelines also takes into account the duration. So that can help us with figuring out how long that's payable for. So there's some guiding principles to use. So there's two situations where spousal support goes on what's called indefinitely. And indefinitely only means without a specific end. So first, if the spouses have lived together for over 20 years. And second, it's called the rule of 65. It's where the number of years living together plus the recipient's age is over 65. So another guiding principle is when there's no child support payable. Then the duration is somewhere between half a year and 1 year for every year that the spouses have lived together. And lastly, if there is child support payable, then there's more flexibility in the duration depending on the circumstances. It could be somewhere between that 0.5 year and 1 year principle, or it could be somewhere more in line with when the children are starting or finishing full-time school.
All right, lots to consider in this, Stephanie. And next week we will continue this subject. So can you give us a little bit of a preview of what will be discussed then?
Yeah, we'll be taking a bit of a deeper dive into more particulars on spousal support. So issues like what happens if someone wants to retire when they're paying spousal support, and how do you figure out income for the purpose of spousal support, things like that.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll chat with you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.
That's all for news. We have sports up next, but first, here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Cowboys and cowgirls from all over the world will head to Lee Park for the elite Lee Park Rodeo. Our Thomas Wildman has more on all the festivities.
Today, I'm joined by Lloyd Gray, the president of the Lee Park Rodeo. It's the 69th year this year, and so thank you so much for joining me today, Lloyd.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Lloyd, so 69th year of the Lee Park Rodeo. For those who haven't been to a Lee Park Rodeo, kind of what happens throughout this upcoming weekend?
Well, it's a full professional rodeo for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there's extra activities going on too, like it starts off Wednesday night in Marwayne. They have a big street dance. Friday, we have a rodeo performance, and then we have a dance in the beer garden out there at the park Friday night. Saturday, again, 1 o'clock, rodeo performance, and then there's a big dance in Marwayne in the arena. And you don't have to worry about driving. You can just go down to Walmart and catch a ride out. Len's Party Bus out of Vermilion will be taking people to Marwayne and bringing them home. And then Sunday is our final day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon again.
Awesome. And so what kind of rodeo events are going to be taking place throughout all of the rodeo shows throughout the 3 days?
Well, all of the events in pro rodeo, which is bareback riding, saddle bronc riding, bull riding, tie-down roping, steer wrestling, barrel racing, team roping, and tie-down roping.
Excellent. And for the, you say it's a professional rodeo, so you'll have athletes from not only from the Lloydminster and the Lee Park and the Marwayne area, but also from around the area to have a really elite shows throughout the 3 days.
There'll be athletes from Australia. There'll be athletes from United States and from Canada. They're all over the map.
Excellent. And so 69th year this year, but next year is the big 70th year. What are some of the big plans that you guys are going to be having for that big anniversary year?
Well, right now, like I say, we're going to get this one under a belt, and then the week after the rodeo, we have a meeting and we start planning for next year. We just don't get together a week before the rodeo and start planning. What we're going to do yet, there's a few things on the list we've been talking about, but I don't want to say too much yet till let's get this one done, and then we'll hit her up for next year. How's that?
Perfect. Excellent. And then the final question, Lloyd, just if people are interested in attending the Lee Park Rodeo, where are they able to get tickets, as well as if they just want to attend any of the rodeo dances afterwards?
Yeah, they can buy them all at the gate. They can get to get into the rodeo, they can get their tickets at the gate. And same thing, once they're in the gate, they can go to the one in the beer garden Friday night, no extra charge. But the one in Marwayne at the arena, they can pay at the gate too. And also, we have a few, we raffle a truck every year at our rodeo, and we have a few tickets left for that truck. We only sell 1,500, but we have a few left, but not too many. So if you haven't got one and you want one, get a hold of somebody on the rodeo committee, and we'll get you fixed up with a ticket.
And then finally, this is truly the final question here. On Friday, when does the first rodeo performance take place?
Friday at 6 o'clock.
Friday at 6 o'clock. Perfect.
And then, I'm sorry, on Saturday and Sunday, Saturday evening is the slack, so that's more rodeo to watch.
Okay.
Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, there's more slack.
Awesome.
So more rodeo to watch. So, yeah.
Perfect. So if it's a full weekend of rodeo down at Lee Park, and so if you're interested, be sure to head out just to the gate. You'll be able to get right in for an excellent 3 days of Lee Park Rodeo.
A local golfer here in Lloydminster has had an entertaining couple of weeks, making two of the hardest shots in golf imaginable ahead of the Canadian amateurs. Our Callum Hawker sat down to find out more.
Today I'm joined by Jim Bourne Jr., a local golf legend and a member at the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center. Jim, thanks so much for your time today. How's it going?
Hey, Callum, I'm doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, thank you. So the local golf pro here at Lloydminster Golf and Curling Center told me that you've been playing some phenomenal golf and actually shot 2 albatrosses in just a span of a couple weeks. Now, Jim, for people who don't know what an albatross is, it's shooting a 2 on a par 5, and many golfers believe it's actually harder than a hole-in-one. So how did that last couple weeks go down, Jim, in getting those albatrosses?
The first one was hole 17. I hit a good drive up the right side there and had 183 yards in, I think it was. And I hit a nice little 6-iron. It faded in, and before we knew it, the ball disappeared. And I asked Ryan Rippett, I said, "Did that go in? Is that an albatross?" And he got his rangefinder out, and we couldn't see the ball. I mean, we knew it was in, but it kind of shocked everybody, I think, a little bit. The second one was hole 5. I hit another good drive down the middle, and I hit a 7-iron in, about 186 yards it was. And that time, we seen it go in, and I went nuts. Everybody got a high five and a hug, and yeah, I stepped on everybody's toes. It was quite exciting.
Yeah, I could only imagine how excited everyone would have been. And is this your first time shooting a 2 on a par 5?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So being almost 200 yards out going into your second shot, what kind of swing tips or swing thoughts do you have going into that shot and getting it close to the pin?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the shot, right? The wind, everything. Sometimes you're aiming for a bunker, sometimes you're aiming for the middle of the green. It all depends. But yeah, you want to get as close as you can so you can get that eagle or birdie for sure.
Jim, any golf plans or tournaments in the near or far future here?
I plan on playing the Alberta Mid-Amateur. It's in Barrhead this year. And then I'm going to qualify for the Canadian Amateur in Saskatoon.
And when will that be?
The qualifying day is August 2nd.
And how many times have you competed in the Canadian Amateur?
It'll be my 14th time if I make it.
Well, good luck in the tournament, Jim. You've been playing some great golf as of late, so I'm sure it'll be a great time for you. And thanks again for your time today.
Thanks, Callum. How was your round this morning?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, no albatrosses, but always good to get out on the course before work, Jim. And thanks again for your time.
Now let's take a look at your agriculture prices. Let's take a look at your next 3-day forecast for Lloydminster. And overall, we're looking at some very nice weather. Tomorrow, 19 high and a low of 5. Expect some wind for that Thursday. Friday, sunny skies, high of 21, low of 8. And Saturday, a high of 18 and a low of 6 with that sunshine. That is all the time we have today for Primetime Local News. Thanks so much for watching and have a great night.